Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, the Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP, members of Parliament, members of the legislature, honorable councillors, and all the delegates. We are on the 2nd day of September. 3 days ago, we were celebrating August month. I take it we're supposed to celebrate women 365 days. We are to start with our program now, which is a Women's Charter Review, where we are meeting with Capricorn, Vhembe and Waterberg district. We've got 4 sessions here. I'm going to share the first session. My name is Kensani Kate Bilankulu Mahabani. I'll be chairing the first session. But I want to bring this to the attention of all our delegates or the speakers, that we are only given 10 minutes. So we are going to start now. We are going to start with a moment of silence for prayer and meditation. But I want to bring this to the attention of all our delegates or the speakers, that we are only given, thank you very much, 10 minutes. We're now rushing to get the message. We are going to start now. From Honorable Armulapo, the moment of silence, who's going to give us a welcome address. Honorable Armulapo is the Speaker of the Legislature, the Limpopo Legislature. Thank you very much. Over to you, Honorable Mulapo. Honorable Mulapo, are you there? Hello? Hello?
Hello, Chairperson, I'm back now.
Okay.
It's my time.
Yes, yes. Please.
Okay. You can see me now, Chairperson.
We see your beautiful face.
Okay, thank you very much. Program Director, Honorable Bilankulu, thank you very much for affording me this opportunity. Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP, Deputy Speaker of the National Parliament, members of Parliament, members of Legislature, the Statistician General, Chairperson of Commission for Gender Equality, Chairperson of Financial and Fiscal Commission, District Mayors from Capricorn, Vhembe and Waterberg, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I welcome you all to this important gathering as hosted by our beautiful province of Limpopo. This gathering affords us with an opportunity to review the Women's Charter. It affords us with an opportunity to reflect on the challenges faced by women. It further provides us with a prospect to suggest practical solutions that can be implemented to address daily challenges faced by women in our country. Program Director, it has been well articulated that within the borders of our region, the SADC regional documents clearly affect, and thirdly, prevention and reduction of gender-based violence as conducive for peace and security. It is on the basis that the revised SADC protocol and gender and development identify gender-based violence as an area of concern and proposes several approaches to address this. Call on gender and development provides for the development. It further affords us with an opportunity, legislative oversight, and all mechanisms aimed at fighting violence against women and girls. A schedule that is worsening in South Africa, which had manifested itself in ways we could not imagine in the past few months since the implementation of COVID-19 regulations. Honorable members and guests, it is our ultimate desire to have the intensive consultation processes culminating in the adoption of an improved policy and legislative oversight mechanisms and interventions that aimed at removing all structural, institutional, and cultural barriers to the realization of gender equality in South Africa. On the same breath, it is also our wish to assess how far has the sphere of government been accountable in implementing the policies, legislation, proposal to close the gaps and accelerate positive change in our society. And as I conclude, Program Director, I would like to indicate that it is necessary within context of 26 years of review of Women's Charter since 1994 to fairly assess, amongst others, the number of women represented in decisions-making position in both the private and to further deliberate on the intervention we can put in place to address remaining inequality like gaps in remuneration between women and men, as well as gender representation in senior management level. It is in our hands to ensure how best we can drive and take the lead in empowering women, elimination of discrimination against women through enactment of gender-responsive legislation and implementation of policies, programs, and projects. On that note, Program Director, I welcome you to Limpopo Province and wish you a fruitful and daily participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hey, there is a problem with the gadget. You take it this way, it's like it's upside down, but on my side, it's not. Thank you very much for the warm welcome, Honorable Mulapo. Indeed, what shall we say in all? Because what we need to do as women is to respond in making sure that we take care of all our people in the country, more especially when it comes to women, children, and people living with disabilities. We are proceeding with our program. The second presentation will be given by the Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP, Honorable Lucas, who will be contextualizing the review of the 25 years review of the 1994 Women's Charter for Effective Equality, setting the women empowerment agenda for the next 25 years. Honorable Lucas, the time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I want to start with a disclaimer that just when we started, we've been informed by ESCOM that in the area of David Creeper municipality we'll be having load shedding. Fortunately, I was a little bit prepared for that. I already started. My connectivity will not be a problem. That's my disclaimer. I can start with this with the prepared I'm having in front of me is to be observed. I want to acknowledge the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Lechisa Tsinode, the Speaker, the of the NCOP, as well as the National Assembly, particularly decision to go further with the protocol, to also acknowledge the mayors, the speakers, and the mayoral, the MMC members that are present in this platform. There is the Statistician General's Office. I've seen Mr. Neil Roo, and I hope the SG is also present today, because he must remember his grandmother is from the villages of Limpopo, and he want to the adoption of the adoption of the 1994 Women's Charter for Effective Equality. By its very nature, the Women's Charter activism, women's struggle, and the United 65 years to date, women and political doctrines in order to fight against patriarchy and discriminatory laws and practices in the adoption of the 1954 and 1994 charters, respectively, with both charters serving as a backdrop to the development of a continuity to make remarkable strides through the advancement and adoption of a broad continuum of policy, legislative, and systematic advances. Ladies and gentlemen, the Women's Charter for Effective Equality as the backdrop provides us with both scope and context for the review and analysis of the entire women rights regime. And when we speak about the entire women rights regime, I don't want us to fall into the trap to think that the issue of gender-based violence or violence against women and children is the only issues that are plaguing our women. We've got broad gender inequalities and gender disparities that still need to be addressed even in our democratic dispensation. We have still the issue of not unequal pay for equal work, where women are still getting less paid than men, for gender discrimination in the workplace, where certain positions is earmarked for women, where we can go in and be told that, but this job is not for a woman, it is being reserved for men, or it's reserved for certain people. So I am saying that because we are working on a review of the entire women's rights regime. But in many instances, when you attend some of the fora, you find that the discussion tend to just feature around gender-based violence. So the Women Charter Review is actually giving us an opportunity to look at a broad scope of what is being proposed, but what is lacking, to make sure that we have a comprehensive regime that can respond to the issues that we as women are experiencing within South Africa, within a democratic dispensation. That is why the 2019 Women's Parliament initiated strategic discussions in the 6th Parliament around matters of policy, legislation, and structural arrangements that pertain to women empowerment in South Africa. Provincial review sessions hence seek to identify the prevailing challenges that women continue to face on a daily basis, which seeks to zoom into issues of poverty, inequality, unemployment as faced by us as women. The review processes will also assess the effectiveness and functionality of the gender machinery, gender seeing and ensuring functionality. This review process started in 2019 and it's continuing during 2020, allowing us to engage districts across all provinces in the country. The district level review sessions will enable us to engage the provincial leadership on the substantive issues that have been raised in order to allow for the appropriate intervention. Society, let us therefore reaffirm our determination together as men and women, or women and men, to build a non-sexist South Africa realized through strategic actions. We are really pleased to meet with a broad front of women's organizations, grassroots organizations of all kinds, feminist groups, researchers, faith-based organizations, traditional leaders, and women involved in policy formulation and response plans. We need progressive and diverse people who are going to sharpen our understanding and collectively drive all processes to emancipate women from all forms of oppression and discrimination. We have in South Africa history of uniting across racial and party lines to lobby and advocate for Women's Charter was a result of women's experiences, their needs, their expectations, and their demands. The 1956 March showed that women across all lines of society unite. They united to make sure that they march to make sure that the voice of women in South Africa is heard. We applaud our government with its commitment to the struggle of women by joining Generation Equality, a global campaign to achieve gender equality by 2030. As part of this campaign, we are part of two action coalitions, one on economic justice and rights, and another on gender-based violence and femicide. These action coalitions, as part of Generation Equality, are set to mobilize governments, civil society, and the private sector for collective action. We have a national strategic plan on gender-based violence and femicide with inclusion. This means that the oversight that we are now playing is to particularly zoom into the pillars of the strategic plan. We have to build strategic partnerships across party political lines and with civil society movements in order to hold all those responsible for the implementation of the National Strategic Plan accountable. The struggle is not over. I therefore implore every South African to ensure that we raise voices in unity and undertake corresponding action to root out gender-based violence, femicide, as well as gender inequality from our society. With that, I hope we have contextualized clearly what we are planning to do, and we are all, in actual fact, rooted to make sure that we have an enhanced and a better women's charter for effective equality in the future. And through the inputs of all of you that are participating today, we will be able to have a product that the women of South Africa can claim as their own. With that said and done, Chairperson, I want to thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP. Indeed, the struggle is not over. The struggle will be over when women are liberated. Thank you very much for your contextualizing review. We are going to listen now to the second speaker. The second speaker will be covering the social cluster overview, where the second speaker will be contextualizing poverty and inequality in the Northern Cape, focusing on the Capricorn, Vhembe, and conditions that impede progress in the advancing the status of women. And that will be handled by Mr. Nell, a statistician. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And thank you very much for all the distinguished colleagues that are attending this meeting. I just want to first off just apologize for the Statistician General, Mr. Maluleke. Unfortunately, he had a pre-arranged meeting today and he couldn't attend this meeting. However, he sends his greetings. Limpopo is a province that's close to his heart. Barely a day goes past that he doesn't mention it. So I hope he will be able to attend some of the other meetings that are scheduled for the next few weeks. I'm going to do a presentation on the three district municipalities, and I'm going to try and share it quickly. Now, in the past, we had some problems sharing, so if you just indulge me for a second, please. And you all see the presentation that I'm sharing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. I think in the past I tried to do it without a presentation. That also leads to some trouble. So please, but do raise a red flag if you don't see it or if it takes time to refresh. I think many of you might have seen parts of this presentation. We try and change the presentation as we go through the country and do Free State and Northern Cape and so forth. I think the important thing is that national contextualization has about 60 million people, and this is due to the mid-year estimate that it was published earlier this year. So South Africa's population is not a very large population in African terms, but it's a growing population. But I think what is even more important than that is, of course, this population is distributed across the country. Now you'll see that Limpopo is roughly in the middle. It's got about 6 million, 5.85 million people, which makes it one of the probably what also makes Limpopo, of course, unique for those of you that follow demographic and population trends, is that Limpopo is also what we call a migration sending population. In other words, more people actually migrate from Limpopo to other provinces than migrate into the province itself. And many of those migrants are male, but increasingly also many of them are female. And of course, migration's got a very large impact on household composition and structure and various other social stability issues in society. Again, maybe coming back to the population distribution, the three district municipalities that we are talking about today are presented in purple. And as you can see, Vhembe and Capricorn are the two largest ones. Each of them take about 24 and 22% of the population respectively. And Waterberg or Waterberg is then 13%, which is the smallest percentage of the population. The migration that I spoke about earlier is actually reflected in the fact that only 47% of the population in Limpopo province are male. Normally, you would find that females do actually make up a much larger percentage of the population in all provinces. However, this percentage, which is slightly skewed more than usual, actually shows you that many males have actually migrated out into particularly Gauteng and other neighboring provinces to look for employment particularly. If you have a look at the various districts, you can see there is only one district actually where this is flipped, and this is the Waterberg district, where only 49% of the population are female, compared to, of course, about 50.6% or so. And then, of course, for all the other districts, it's much more extensive. For Vhembe, for instance, you find that females are 53%, and then almost 53% for Capricorn as well, which again probably shows the high levels of outmigration. In terms of the population distribution, you've probably all seen that is, I think the important thing here is that Limpopo is right on top. And it shows you that about 9% of population youth and adults comprise about 52%, which is much smaller, for instance, than South Africa. Again, showing to high out-migration. Children under 15 makes up about 39% of that particular population. Now, this is normally attributed to two things, higher fertility perhaps, although fertility in Limpopo is not particularly higher than that for the country. Also, I think very interestingly, the fact that many children are actually sent back by the parents who've migrated to live with their grandparents in Limpopo. And of course, this is also something that has to be taken into account when one talks about women. Exactly this particular point I wanted to raise. And it shows that if you have a look at Limpopo, it's the third one from the bottom. Of children in Limpopo live with their mother. But a full 22.8% of them didn't live with either their mother or their fathers. So they live non-family member. And 27% live with both. And I think this just makes the point again that, you know, there's also a, I don't want to call it a burden of care. Some people don't reflect well on the word burden in this particular case, but there is a burden of care on grandparents and other family members and so forth, looking not only after children, but perhaps other family members as well. And you're using social grants and so forth, which is a slide that we'll talk about in just a bit. I think in terms of employment, of course, one of the main reasons for migration, you'll find that Limpopo has about 3.8 million people of working age. Those are people between the ages of 15 and 64 years of age. Of those are either employed or they're looking for jobs, whilst 2 million people are jobs or like students or perhaps domestic homework. My wife almost kills me with housewives. My wife is not one, so that's not the word. However, of this 1.8 million, about 1.4 million are employed, and 400,000 of them are officially unemployed, which gives you a which gives you an unemployment rate officially of 23.6%. This is, of course, before COVID. Now, if you compare these rates to the official rate and also the extended rate, you'll see that firstly, Limpopo doesn't have a particularly high unemployment rate of 23.6%, but there is a very large difference between the unemployment rate, the official rate, which is 23.6 rather, and the extended one, which is 44.4%. Now, this 44.4%, as you can see, is probably one of the highest ones in South Africa. That begs to, raise a lot of difficult questions about, employment and livelihoods in Limpopo, particularly for women. Now, again, talking about women, one can see here that, and this is Limpopo is at a very, very top with the yellow dot next to it. You can see that 52.5% of female-headed households doesn't have a single employed household member. I think maybe that's something that one can repeat. More than half, 52.5% of female-headed households in Limpopo doesn't have a single person that's employed in that particular household. Most of the people in those households that are working ages are probably earning grants or getting remittances or some other source of income. And of course, they do have the burden of care as well, which I've mentioned earlier. Conversely, of course, for males, that's only about 26.5%. I think this is a statistic that people need to take note of and remember as we go on. We also have what we call the need. Those are young people that are not in training, not in education. and also not employed. And as you can see here, that about 8.5 million people, this is of course for South Africa, 41.7% out of 20.4 million people in the country, not in employment, education, or training. And those are people between the ages of 15 to 34. You know, the ages that you're either in school or working or looking for a way to make a livelihood for yourself. Now, this is, of course, as you can see, increased from Q1 2019 to Q1 2020. Again, preceding COVID. So we don't know what COVID would have done to this. So again, something a worrying trend, perhaps. In Limpopo, we're talking about a percentage of about 42.9%, which is slightly. And as you can see, the only places where the need is actually relatively low would be Gauteng and Western Cape, which are traditionally, of course, the economic powerhouses, but also the migration attracting provinces. A lot of them, of migrants, of course, like I've mentioned, from Limpopo, actually migrate there. My time is running out, so I'm just going to skip through a number of slides and just stop the most important ones. I think poverty, you can see the lower bound poverty line, which is the one that we normally use. This is the 840 rands per person month. According to that, about 57% of the total population can be considered poor in Limpopo. Now, I think I just need to refer you to this slide there, and this says that for South Africa, the same poverty line are considered poor. The population in Limpopo are considerably poorer than the population of South Africa as a whole. Of course, this is emphasis for indeed the food poverty line. Comparatively speaking, as one would expect, your male-headed households, and also your poverty level decreases as with those without any type of schooling or some primary schooling are much more likely to be poor than those, for instance, with higher education. Of course, normally we don't only measure in range of other factors, including access to healthcare, access to services, and living standards, and so forth. And this is measured using what we call the SAMPI, the South African model. Again, I think the important thing here to see is Limpopo is the yellow bar. The yellow bar is significantly higher than the blue bar, which is South Africa. So again, it just emphasizes the fact that we do have significant poverty in Limpopo. Also, looking at using districts, you can see that Sekhukhune has got the highest level of poverty in Limpopo, but it's followed by Vhembe, Waterberg, and Capricorn as a whole. Yeah. I think relative rates, this is just how this is put together, and I think as you can guess, employment rate or unemployment rate is extremely important for one reason. Limpopo is the top bar of that side. As you can see, 43% came from salaries in Limpopo. However, that's slightly more than the 50% ones in Limpopo provinces, followed by another 16% for remittances.
Mr. Nel,
and
can
other
you take your
sources
time,
here would
please?
refer to, for instance.
Okay.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am. I was looking at 1 more minute, ma'am. I'm gonna stop. I think just quickly running through this slide, you'll see that Limpopo, for instance, here definitely has lower access to sanitation. Also, the access to mains electricity has declined to below that of the national average. I think a very important thing here to mention is just in terms of sanitation, Vhembe is one of the district municipalities. Only about 20% of them had healthy households that were surveyed had adequate sanitation. If you compare that, for instance, to Capricorn and Waterberg, you know, that's a huge backlog. And then, of course, agriculture, I think importantly here, this is a very, very important slide. 24% of households in Limpopo were involved in some kind of agriculture, which is much higher than the average for South Africa of only 13.8%. And that is, I think, a consistent finding that we've had over time. And then I think hunger, let's make this our last slide. There's only 2 more slides, so I'm going to stop with this one. I think a very important thing here to mention is that female-headed households are significantly more likely than male-headed households to run out of food in any given month to buy food for their families. And as you can see here in terms of the comparisons, Vhembe and Waterberg, it's about 22.9%, almost a quarter of households compared to 20% for males, and etc. So for Limpopo as a whole, it's about 1/5 compared to about 70%. And maybe the very last slide is just in terms of gender-based violence. Limpopo province is actually just below an average. This is, of course, underreported for many reasons, but it's only about 0.8% of females reported they were victims of assault compared to about 1.2% in South Africa. Sorry for rushing and sorry for taking a bit more time than I should have, ma'am. I apologize. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nel. Honorable Speaker, I think as a province, you need to be worried about the 52.5% of the household where there's no one person working. 52.5. It's a big number. We are proceeding with our program. Honorable members and all our delegates, if we can minimize the issue of using the video, it will assist the speakers. Because listening to them, you can see that there are some disturbances, but if we can all switch off our videos, it will assist. Can we do that? Says patience, Munandi, if we can switch off our videos, it will assist. A big deal. Thank you very much. We are proceeding. The third speaker, it's going to give us the presentation of the state of gender transformation. The person who will be handling that is Ms. T. Matebula, the chairperson of Commission for Gender Equality. Ms. Matebula, it's your turn. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Chairperson and committee members. I want to start by saying that my name is Mbuyiselo. I am responsible for the province of Limpopo. I bring greetings from the chairperson of the commission, Ms. Tamara Matebula. Let me start off by saying that we are privileged to do this presentation, especially as it comes at a period we've just commemorated the Women's Month in our country. And Chairperson, it's important for us to outline as to what is the CGE, well, what are we all about, and why is it in existence. But having said that, I think, Chairperson, it's also going to be important to foreground this discussion by saying that the CGE is, in fact, in existence because of the toils, the struggles of women in our country. I think that it's important to make the point that as a country, we are where we are because of the sacrifices of the women, even dating before 1956. So, Chairperson, and it's important to make that point that as a Commission for Gender Equality, we are in fact privileged to do this presentation. I want to also, Chairperson, to talk about what is our mandate. The mandate of the Commission for Gender Equality as an organ established by an act of parliament. It is to ensure that we rid our society free of gender-based violence and all forms of violence in our country. We do this by, in fact, focusing on our mandate. If you ask me or ask any other person, what is the mandate of the CGE? It is this broad-based mandate. It is to make sure that in this country, in South Africa, women and children will not be faced with GBV in our country. We want to create an equal society. We want to create a society that there is no misogyny, that there is no hatred of women. So some can argue and say it's quite an ambitious aspiration, but we're basing this on the forebears that gave birth to us, who are women of this country, women 1956, even before then. Our mandate, as I said, but then there's also we have a legislative framework within which we work, meaning that we have powers given to us by an act of parliament, because we as an institution report to parliament. Incidentally, as we speak now to the NCOP, yesterday we were having a meeting with a portfolio committee that we report to and share with them our work. So it is, in fact, it is within this legislative framework that we do advocacy work. And what do I mean by advocacy work? I mean education. In fact, I could say that we have three important departments I want to talk to, Chairperson. And the first department is that of public education and information. I mean, public education plays a critical role where we go throughout the province, vast as it is. We go to the province to ensure that we reach each and every community in Limpopo. And I'll talk about the challenges as and when we go on. But to say that the public education, it's in fact, if you like, one of the bedrocks that makes the commission to reach the far-flung areas of the Limpopo province. And we do also, we have what we call outreach programs. And it's Chairperson, if we talk about the state of gender transformation in the province, we speak directly to it, because what we do with the legal clinics, we in fact organize or work through stakeholders throughout the entire province, because our view or our work is mainly to monitor what does government do, to monitor what does a private sector do, but more importantly is to give out information almost every day. The legal clinics, and what do I mean by that? I mean that because of the legal clinic, you would go to Sukukuni, you would go to Hamasemura, you go to all of these areas, you go with one purpose, and the purpose is to ensure that communities on the ground, they know what is Domestic Violence Act, they know what is Sexual Offences Act, they know what the different types of marriages, I mean, the rights, the obligations, the responsibilities, but also Chairperson, we focus on an account. So we are saying that the part of the legal clinics are in fact a getaway or a door that enables us, Chairperson, to reach communities and to make them aware of their rights as to, well, how do they access those rights? I mean, about the Constitution, about the equality clauses in our country, and about issues relating to maintenance, Chairperson. I want to move on and talk about gender mainstreaming in local government, Chairperson. We have done work with different municipalities, but for us to be successful in doing this work, we work in partnership with SALGA. We think that SALGA is an important organ of state. It's an important organ that we, as a commission, works through with it. And we have signed the memorandum of understanding. But more importantly, Chairperson and members, it is to make sure that municipalities within the Salga, the Salga family were able to reach them. And what do we do? What do we mean when we talk about gender mainstreaming? A provincial manager, a colleague of mine, Sapang, talks about it in a very, in one line. His view is that when we talk about gender mainstreaming, we're saying that how are the budget of municipalities, how are they thought about? The IDPs. Our view is that when you do gender mainstreaming, you ask these difficult questions, such as, where are the women? What's their role? Is there budget for women? When you talk about transformation, where are the women in the bigger schemes of things in municipalities? Are women just on the periphery? Are women playing a critical role? We ask, where are the policies within municipalities? Do they, equity policies? Do municipalities have gender transformation policies? Do municipalities have, or do municipalities in their budget make sure that women's emancipation or transformation of women are at the center? So part of gender mainstreaming, as I said, Sapang put it in a more profound manner when he says that gender mainstreaming, in simple language, is everyone's business, meaning that we trained on what is equity, on what is gender transformation. But more importantly, Chairperson, as a commission, we make sure that municipalities account to us. But obviously, you have challenges. And some of our challenges with municipalities are the speed with which sometimes they are responding. But our view is that before you even do legislation, before you litigate, is to ask yourself the question, can we be able to train municipalities? And we do this throughout the province, again, to emphasize the importance of working with different stakeholders. And in this instance, Salga is important. I just want to, once there are different municipalities that we work with, that we monitor, but also because we believe that when you talk about gender transformation, you're also talking about GBV. What is gender-based violence in the provinces? The previous speaker before me has spoken something that I think I want to talk to. When he talked about or spoke about the lack of reporting, and when you look at the rural areas, you would find that there are challenges in that sector, Chairperson. There are challenges because rural areas they may not have access to different not only municipalities but also resources. So we are always saying to Salga that it's important that municipalities, Chairperson, municipalities are in fact supported. Municipalities are in fact made viable financially because it is at municipality level where, if one could argue that it is where municipalities are at the whole phase of what communities go through every day. Now, when you fix municipalities, meaning that when you do gender transformation, you are able then to make sure that your work is who are different communities. So, Chairperson, as I move along, it's important for us to, in fact, talk about, GBV and then reporting it. One of the important stakeholders I've not mentioned would be, working with the Premier's office in the province, where we have found that the Premier's office doors are always open to engage with us, because we believe that it's an important also aspect if we are to reach different departments that we have a duty to call Chairperson for them to account to us. But moving along, one of also an important stakeholder is working with the police service in our country. In Limpopo, we are of the view that in working with the police services, it helps us in reporting issues of GBV, sexual harassment. Though we know that, Chairperson, there may be challenges, especially as to some response time from the police services, that there are instances where, as a commission, we have not been happy as to the services that are rendered by police and men and women in the province. But one has got to, in fact, underpin this by saying that it's not a gloom doom situation, because we are able almost on an ongoing basis to engage the top brass of the police service in Limpopo. But also we work again with the different clusters of police men and women in the province, Chair, because we believe that GBV, it's our responsibility, all of us, that women more often than not don't report GBV, because then the system sometimes fails them. But there's also sometimes inaction from some sectors in the police. And when we have this relationship, Chairperson, we are then able to engage, because remember that our role, our mandate is to make sure that we hold the duty bearers to account, but we also hold your private sector to account. Having spoken about the police services, GBV, there's also an important stakeholder, which is the House of Traditional Leaders in Limpopo. We under the leadership of Kgoshi Dikgale, we work closely with traditional leadership. Again, our view is that if you don't engage them, chances are that you will not be able to reach the most important constituents that you're looking for, which are your rural-based women and men. So working with traditional leaders, it enables us to bring back to Kgoshi Dikgale and his team about the challenges that women in particular are faced with. Just to mention, whilst there, Chairperson, there's an issue about chieftaincy, where women who are rightfully entitled to be chiefs, for some reason that are primarily based on patriarchy, you would find that, Chairperson, there are difficulties, there are challenges. So we are of the view that this is an ongoing engagement with the House of Traditional Leaders and the leadership of Kgoshi Dikgale, that we would bring cases, but also, and I mentioned the Premier, I mean, I remember in one of my first interaction, after he has just been appointed, I mean, Premier Matabati had made something which has stayed with me, that he always, when he wakes up, he has to contend with, issues relating to chieftainship in his province. And I mean, in my interaction with him, it was very clear that these issues relating to chieftaincy, relating to women's, capabilities, that they're the view that we need an ongoing engagement. We do train traditional leaders, work with them. We work with traditional leaders who are women, because we believe that the system sometimes fails them as women who have a right to take chieftaincy, but there are these obstacles, and these obstacles, one can just in one way identify them as what patriarchy is all about. But we are of the view that you can only deal with patriarchy and its attendant consequences when you engage its bearers, who are mainly men.
I believe now you are wrapping up. Are you wrapping up?
I am wrapping up.
15 minutes.
Okay. I am wrapping up, and I want to wrap up by actually saying that maybe talk about what are our challenges when dealing with GBV and gender transformation in the province. One of the major challenges is what I've just spoken to about, access to chieftaincy by women in the vein. But secondly, and more importantly, Chairperson, we appeal to NCOP to, in fact, join with us to assist us that municipalities at times do not respond with the speed with which we would ideally want them to respond to. But thirdly, Chairperson, is that we have what we call investigative hearings, where we call different departments. But again, Chairperson, we do not want to resort to legislation or litigation. So it's important for us to say to the NCOP, these are some of some of the challenges that we as a commission are faced with, and we think that Chairperson Sylvia Lucas, it's important that we partner with NCOP in resolving all of these. But again, the commission, we are faced with challenges of resources. Chairperson, our province is vast. It's huge. It's vast with vast problems. I mean, problems of inequality, problems of poverty. I mean, they are more exacerbated by our rural setting as a province. Chairperson, we think that the commission could be best served if we could increase our own human capital. I mean, we are serving in our province. We have only two.
We are behind time now. We are behind time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are going to listen to the last speaker of the first session. After the last speaker, I will hand over to my co-chair, who is Honorable A. Malika. After this speaker, the one who is going to give us the report on economic cluster overview, Dr. G. Blakey. After him, then the honorable member will take over to proceed with the second session. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Blakey, the chairperson of commission. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. My name is Nomonde Matubula, and I'm Nomonde Matubula, and I'm a researcher at the Financial and Fiscal Commission. I'll be going through the presentation. I will ask Kevin if he can assist me with the slides on his side. Can I continue?
Yes, you can continue.
Okay. The financial, I'll just go on to just give a brief that the Financial and Fiscal Commission is established in terms of the Constitution, and it also has an enabling legislation in terms of the FFC Act of 1997. And what it does, the Financial and Fiscal Commission, it makes recommendations to Parliament, to provincial legislatures, to government spheres and other organized local government spheres. As I've indicated before, that the commission role primarily is about making sure that funds are distributed equitably between the three spheres of government. And the FFC, in terms of gender budgeting, has done a study, and some of the emerging findings of the study, as my previous colleagues have alluded to, indicate that, I'm on slide 5, Kevin, indicate that despite government commitment to gender equality through various policy and legislative measures, unacceptable gender inequalities still exist in the country. Please, on the next slide. And the other slide, the next one. Yes, yes, I'm here. Thank you. The study also, as the colleagues from the Stats SA have indicated, that Black female-headed households are the poorest of the poor. This is according to the Stats SA, that was data for 2017. And also, it also comments that Unemployment rates tend to be higher for women than men. Like if we take an example of the 2017 quarterly survey by the Stats SA, it really indicated that women at the time, they stood at about 29.8% compared to men who were at 27%. Those that are not in employment, educational training rates, women, which are female, rated among the highest. The next slide, in relation to what I've indicated, that in the FFC have done a study on this, and then in light of the above background, FFC was of the view that one avenue where
I've been the black as well. I'm not Colombia. I tell you, any on fire. They now red and black. Yeah, no, you so the Jama red manji.
Request members to mute their microphones, please. You can speak, but mute your microphone. Too.
And a scale person and.
Oh, can I continue?
Yes, I'm sorry, Namonde, but there is just a lot of noise. We're just requesting that people mute their mics. You can continue.
Okay, thanks. In light of the background that I've just alluded to, the FFC is of the view that one avenue that should receive greater emphasis is the intergovernmental fiscal relationship system, where a successful IGFR system should be sensitive to the needs of women and contribute to moving them out of poverty. So as I've indicated, the FFC have done a study to assess the gender responsiveness of municipal budgeting process. The study followed two approaches. It assessed 30 random municipalities which were assessed, looking at their IDPs. As we know that IDPs are the planning document and implementers of municipalities in terms of the programs. And in those municipalities that were randomly selected, Capricorn district municipalities as well as Pulamela local municipalities were part of those randomly selected municipalities. And what came out, if I can talk about the Capricorn, of all the questions that were asked in relation to whether they are gender budget sensitive, we found that actually the Capricorn district municipalities was able to, in its program, it does have women empowerment programs. It does take into account the gender equity and equality. It actually even have programs on LED, as we know that LED is one of the programs that municipalities can do, which also are quality life indicators in alleviating plight of women. We also find that with Thulamela, it also have some of the gender programs that it takes into account, but it was lacking in terms of gender equality. It did show us that it does have, in terms of equity, yes, it does employ women in its municipalities. However, in terms of gender equality, we didn't get information with regards to that. So the next slide, we'll be looking at the findings of the study. In general, of all the IDPs that were done for those 30 municipalities, it was found that there is lack of gender mainstreaming and women empowerment as an approach in the programs by municipalities. And there's lack of gender disaggregated data. You find that even if data is available between men and women, it's only for population purposes. That data is not used. Municipalities are not using that data to inform that okay, we have this male, we have this female. In terms of this is what we should be doing in leading programs that are going to take women out of poverty. It's more about equity. It's more about equity instead of equality. They are more about numbers that we have employed these women, not about equality. There are also weak translation of gender equality commitments to fiscal commitments. The next slide. There was also poor translation of the national agenda on women empowerment and gender equality into local government programs. As I've indicated, that there's also the data is inadequate in terms of female and males. Most of the programs are also gender discourse events, like when there is like Women's Month or when there's 16 days against women violence, then you'll find that municipalities, they sort of participate in that. But after those gender discourse, it stops. There's also lack of gender budgeting, training, and capacity building, especially for decision makers at the municipal level, and the poor institutionalization of gender responsive budget. The next slide. Also, what we found out in general in the study, there's also that personnel in management, that is people who make decisions, and budget officers at the municipalities have limited knowledge of how to go about in terms of gender mainstreaming and gender equality indicators, and collection of gender disaggregated information is limited. As I've also mentioned that for Thulamela, they didn't have data in terms of their LED programs that they have, like how many women are also benefiting from the system. The next slide, recommendation to Parliament and government. So what we recommended then when we did this study was that the national and provincial government should run gender budgeting pilots in a few municipalities first and evaluate the results before wider application. These pilots could be linked to ensuring that gender disaggregated data for key conditional grants as part of the Division of Revenue Act in terms of the grant framework. And the national and provincial government should ensure municipal integrated development plans, institutionalize gender planning by sector, water, sanitation, local economic development, as well as the ECD, as I've mentioned, and include gender disaggregated performance indicators and targets, and provide gender budgeting good practice guidelines and toolkits for the municipalities. And also the national and provincial government should provide guidelines for collecting sex disaggregated data for budgeting processes, and ensure that municipalities have the capacity to analyze a budget for gender perspective. In terms of the response to our recommendation, government supported the proposal, and it also mentioned that it will help ensure that the collection and allocation of budget resources, gender equality, and women's empowerment. It will also provide tools to assess the different needs and contribution of women, men, boys, and girls within the existing revenues and expenditure and allocation. And it will call for adjusted budget policies to benefit all the groups. At the time that we tendered this recommendation, the Department of Women was engaging with National Treasury on budget and has indicators of gender responsive budget in its strategic plan. The next recommendation that we did was that the local government should institutionalize gender responsive, build capacity for gender mainstreaming and gender responsive budgeting at local level, and ensure gender sensitive public participation and consultation at the local level. The government response at the time was gender responsive budget analysis, along with legislation and other practical policies measures can address gender bias and discrimination. Government at the time, it indicated that it is a step towards increased accountability and public transparency, and it can shift economic policies leading to gains across society. However, the proposal implementation may be hindered by capacity constraints in municipalities. When we tendered this recommendation, there was no record of any progress with regard to the recommendation at government level at the time. In concluding remarks, the next slide, the FFC is of the view that the Powers and Functions Act should also be amended so that they can also talk about gender budgeting and gender processes that needs to be taken into account. and also the Municipal Finance Management Act. We are of the view that if these two acts can be amended so that they take into account the gender sensitivity, we can go a long way in addressing the gender biasness that is currently continuing. And the FFC is of the view that there is no doubt that the fire that was lit in the adoption of the First Women's Charter on 17 April 1954 should continue burning. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, the third session. This session is towards the Gender District Integrated Development Planning approach and the interventions that is undertaken to advance gender planning processes and service delivery in the district municipalities. Our first speaker will be from the Waterberg District Municipality, and it is the MMC Councillor Rachel Mokoena. I want to remind speakers that all of you've got 10 minutes. Thank you. Councillor Mokoena, are you ready?
Yes, Chairperson,
Okay.
I'm ready. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. As you already indicated, I'm MMC Rachel Mokoena from Waterberg District Municipality. I'm going to try to be very short and brief. Waterberg District regards gender as an important consideration in development. It is a way of looking at how social norms and power structures impact on their lives and opportunity available to different groups of men and women. Comparatively, more women than men live in poverty within the district. This becomes a challenge that we need to face head on. As Waterberg District, we are in line with the national framework and guidelines in women and people living with disability are given preferential treatment as service in a municipal space. Women's empowerment. Empowerment of women involves awareness raising, building self-confidence, expanding choices, increasing access to and control over resources. The important instrument of empowerment includes information and networking activities, often entailing a process through which women acquire knowledge, skills.
Councillor, can you switch on your mic?
Hello?
Can you switch on your video, please? We are live streaming the session.
Oh, okay, thank you. Can you see me now? Can I continue?
Yes, you may.
Hello? Okay, thank you very much, Honorable. Empowerment involves practical measures to enhance women's participation in decision-making and in governance processes, and generally to uplift their status through literacy, education, training, and raising awareness. Other actions include poverty reduction programs that themselves involve income generating activities and enhancing access to job opportunities. Underlying issues are taken into account, such as the protection of a women's human rights, her reproductive health, as well as property ownership. Several initiatives aimed at women's empowerment have been implemented. Example, development of gender policies at national and local authority levels. Some have involved incorporating laws, legislation, quotas aimed at making local government institution and structure more inclusive. Gender equality indicators and indexes at local, national, and regional levels. These are aimed at monitoring, for example, education level, labor force participation, incomes, and percentage of council members of both women and men. Affirmative action, which includes women in decision-making processes. For an example, the South African Development Community governments have committed themselves to 50% of occupancy by women in political and decision-making structures by 2020. Some countries have established offices and departments coordinating women's issues, including the promotion of women's activities in decision-making and municipal management. Women's initiative for self-empowerment as individuals as well as in groups. This includes mutual self-help group as well as networking and solidarity building activities such as women development funds and grants, special measures on women's access to justice, scholarship, sponsorship, fellowship, awards, exchange of programs, and conferences for capacity building. Chapters for equality of women and men in local life, gender positive recruitment and staffing policies, including affirmative action, facilities and measures to help women combine domestic roles and work outside the home, including childcare and flexible working hours. Combining home and work has increasingly become an issue for men. This ultimately encourages men to take on family roles traditionally attributed to women, in fact, contributing to greater gender equality. Local municipalities within the Waterberg district municipality have continued to play a role in women's empowerment. They endeavor to link women's empowerment to themes such as democratic governance, poverty reduction, crisis prevention and recovery, environment and energy, HIV and AIDS, and Millennium Development Goals. They continue to recognize a human right to fully enjoy the rights and opportunity accorded by human settlement development and management. In governance refers to a process of decision making and the way in which decisions are implemented. Both district and local level governance involve formal and informal decision making, implementers and implementation structures. Government is only one of the actors in governance. A measure of good governance involves, to a large extent, the relationship between government and civilian actors. The latter include women's organizations. The participation of women in governance issues encompasses policy frameworks. Participation in decision-making includes in the development agenda and resource allocation. A few. Our considered view in the gender policy be enshrined in national constitution in terms of equal rights, in legislation, in gender frameworks, charter, and declaration. Implementation strategies should then include affirmative action to address gender-based inequality, including representation in governance structures, which is currently not regulated by anything. We should benchmark with several countries
As you conclude,
and
member.
regions which succeeded to put in place policies and targets to gender equality in governance. We should strive to expand, yes, as I'm concluding, we should strive to expand citizens' role in governance process through gender responsive development policies and programs to create an environment where women have an equal opportunity. So I'm going to conclude now with the practical entry points to addressing housing and security to tenure have been persuaded within the district. Some examples are housing projects that address women's rights, aim to improving shelter strategies, policy advocacy initiative. These have focused on right-based approaches and housing and security of tenure, tackling a quotas which are affordable and target women. Campaigns at local levels have been
Thank you, Councillor. Your time is expired.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Honorable.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be from the Capricorn District Municipality, and it is the MMC Member for Community Services, Councillor Kari.
Honorable Speaker, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you switch on your video, please?
Okay. Is it fine?
No, we can't see your face.
You can't see, but I see my face.
You must come up a little bit.
Okay.
There you go. You're right.
Yeah, I'm not in my office. I had a challenge of load shedding and connecting. My Honorable Speaker, delegates, leaders, and representatives of various formations represented here, distinguished guests, good afternoon. On behalf of the Executive Mayor of Capricorn District Municipality, who's not feeling well, I'm honored to be addressing this important gathering of the 6th Democratic Parliament, which brings us together to influence gendered integrated development programs. 3 weeks ago, Madam Speaker, our country celebrated the National Women's Day, a day on which we as a nation remembered the exceptional contribution made by women to ensure that we achieve a just, democratic, non-racial and non-sexist society. Assessed the progress or lack of thereof of our society to advance the objective of the emancipation and empowerment of women. We committed ourselves to accelerate the struggle for gender equality. Honorable Speaker, the gender equality report is clear on this matter regarding women empowerment, that it is the central to human development. Human development is a process of enlarging people's choices cannot occur when choices of
order, Chairperson.
Yes. Point of order, Honorable Member McCarthy.
There are people here who are so unprofessional. They took us to the shops. I don't know if that is a bottle store or a shop, but we cannot be subjected to this.
Where is that member?
What's happening now?
Look at all those things. Look at all those folks. We can't be subjected to this. Can we at least just respect the session, be orderly? Someone took us to the shops here and is showing us everything here.
Honorable Speaker, let me assist you. I have indicated that I have a problem with connection in my office. I'm load shedding. I then moved to the IT office. That's why you are seeing around me.
Councillor, I think the member is not referring to you. I've got it on my screen. There is no name, but there is it shows ITS 53 YZIHG 865. Can that person switch off a video, please? I can see what Member Makau is talking about.
Oh,
If somebody in a shop,
That is a bottle store. That is not a shop, it's a bottle store.
Let us address. Can we focus on what we are doing here? Can we request that we focus on what we are doing here? Please, can Honorable Hare continue with the presentation, and can other members please mute their mics? Can they mute their mics so that we continue with our presentation? We are stressing for the load shedding and every.
Honorable agree that gender inequality make women vulnerable to income poverty and denial of opportunities, and the essential that provide a better life. If these issues are not addressed in developmental planning together, they perpetuate poverty from one generation to the next. This sitting, Honorable Speaker, is equally an opportune time to reflect on where we come from and where we are and where we are going in our of services to the most vulnerable sectors of our society. Honorable Speaker, indeed, the struggle which was launched in 1956 is not complete, and that is why we need gatherings such as this to continue plotting ways of advancing the diverse interests of women in our society, at work and in business. I'm aware that previous gathering, Honorable Speaker, and parliaments in these previous years highlighted the gender inequality and the need for transformation of integrated planning to empower our women for. This we do to undo the painful past of poverty on women and continued exploitation of South Africa's wealth at the expense of Black women and Black people, women in particular. Honorable Speaker, the past I'm talking about is the past that disempowered and excluded women from developmental planning and in the process made them vulnerable to poverty and many other forms of inhumanity and abuse. It is the past of unequal gender relations exacerbated by limited access to opportunities and property ownership rights. Some of the unfortunate legacy of this past that I'm speaking about are, of course, still with us, where rural women were marginalized from economic activities and condemned to Bantustan and villages to stay poverty in the face. A past where women were not allowed to participate in government structures of the then government of minority. It is important, Madam Speaker or Honorable Speaker, that as a municipality, we made advances to partner with small business development agency to drive local economic development initiatives and benefit women and give entrepreneurship training to women cooperatives. On the supply chain front, the municipality has awarded projects of various kinds to female contractors and suppliers. Both in the rural and urban areas, women have increasingly become the backbone of the family unit as well as the community. Clearly, Honorable Speaker, such poverty threatens to negate whatever advance we as South Africans have made in the past 26 years, which is why our district has also been successful in addressing backlogs as far as water, sanitation, and energy services in the entire district. This is itself means that the huge burden placed on our mothers and sisters of having to walk long distances to fetch water and to collect firewood has been lifted up or reduced significantly. We should therefore free our women folk to focus on other more productive and development activities that would further enhance their lives and those of their families and communities. While we accept that women have statistically greater involvement and influence on local level decisions, Honorable Speaker, their participation still needs to be nurtured through robust public participation mechanisms such as this one of Parliament, Council outreach, portfolio committee outreach, and many others, taking into consideration their specific dynamic needs for their safety and convenience. With the huge percentage of our district population being women, it is important that all our municipal programs are deliberately aimed at empowering this segment of the population. As Capricorn District Municipality, we continue to strengthen our institutional capacity to respond to gender issues. This is reflected, amongst others, by the year-on-year increases of budget allocation for programs that empower women within all the municipal departments, specifically the unit called special focus programs. As the Capricorn District Municipality, we are firing on all cylinders to entrench gender to manage to reach 50-50 representation in our council, and we are happy with gender ratio management. This increased representation should provide our women with even a bigger leverage to expunge the benefits of empowerment to our women, to other women at the local, at various villages, you name them. Madam Speaker, once more, women must also be applauded for their resilience. Despite the many obstacles, many of you who are gathered here, as well as others in our society and in different parts of our district, have made important gains, taking us a step closer to the attainment of gender equality. Our ongoing and active participation in the integrated development plan reviews and what committees in a major contribution, Madam Speaker, towards the realization of our vision of better life for all. Our struggle for freedom and rebuilding our country has thus far been one of our sacrifices. Building on that foundation, Honorable Speaker, we should all become selfless community builders in our own right, especially because government of its own cannot achieve much. Honorable Speaker, we have achieved a clean audit as the Capricorn District Municipality because we are led by majority of executive managers being women and member of the mayoral committee. District Municipality can achieve the SDBIP Service Delivery Budget Implementation Plan, Integrated Development Plan, but it is only through the participation of the majority of the population that it can have life, that is women. In all our gatherings, women are 50 or 80% of those gatherings. And we therefore should feel proud that women, and at this very point in time, we have the opportunity to become pathfinders in achieving our development agenda. As with the spirit of the 1956 anti-justice march, it is indeed a fitting tribute and heartening to see women of various backgrounds, young and old, from all over the district converge here to discuss and speak with one voice on issues that affect women on how to overcome. And also remember that we are reviewing the Women's Charter for Effective Equality, which was developed in 1991. And all the articles hope that women will definitely give input in seeing how best can we achieve gender equality in the country. Remember the 1991 based all its areas, women areas of successes and issues of aspiration, but on the 1954 Women's Charter. Today, as South Africans, even when we tend to be harsh with ourselves, we do acknowledge that we have made important progress in addressing the legacy of apartheid, including affliction of poverty and underdevelopment, which affects overwhelmingly Black majority. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, as we know very well, we still have a long journey ahead of us to achieve our constitutional vision of a non-sexist, non-racial, and prosperous society. But as a society, Honorable Speaker, and a public representatives, we should never, ever lose hope. We should never be discouraged by the occasional setbacks like the current one of gender-based violence, current one of COVID-19, because if we do, we would demoralize the millions of people whose hopes rest on our shoulders. Delivering on the IDP and achieving accelerated and equitable development depends on a great deal of our ongoing collective strength and the foresight of us and our people. We owe it to our fallen struggle heroines and heroines to become successful and responsive municipalities. We believe, therefore, that this session serves as an opportunity that will, in the final analysis, translate into a roadmap adding strength to our women empowerment programs, We believe also that our developmental partnership would be sustained beyond this parliament. And I have got no doubt in my mind that the partnership I'm referring to will open doors to even greater opportunities as women is unleashed. Madam Chairperson and delegates, we remain humbled by your resolve and your dedication to the cause of the emancipation of women, as well as the work you do radically to change the life circumstances of all our people. I have no doubt that your efforts will help accelerate our advance towards the achievement of the goal of a better life for all. When I say for all, I'm referring to the majority women. We therefore await the outcomes of this parliament, Honorable Speaker, with eagerness and full anticipation. Power to women, their level.
Thank you, Councillor. We will move now to the Vhembe District Municipality, and MMC Faith Chauki will represent the Vhembe District Municipality. Thank you. Councillor Chauki, are you ready?
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm not yet ready. I'm still waiting for the presentation. I'll present very soon. It's an issue of. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Member Chauki.
Yes, the Honorable Executive Mayor was supposed to present, so he's sending the presentation to me. So I'm still trying to see the presentation. I'll present as soon as I get the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson.
I'm here. I think Honorable Chauke is very capable to be, while she's waiting for the presentation, I think she's very capable to begin to speak on behalf of our municipality as a member of the MMC. So she can possibly begin to brief us on the projects that she knows about while she's waiting for the presentation.
Okay. Just a minute. Hey, where is it? Okay. I'm sure in terms of the presentation, I'm supposed to present on gender framework and to indicate that the gender framework policy for the local government requires that the local and the district municipality to establish gender focal unit in the mayor's and municipal office. The policy further outline the roles and
Councillor Chuck, can you switch on your video, please?
Just a minute. The video is switched on. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. I was still indicating that I'm sure in terms of the presentation, it's indicating that the gender policy framework for local government, that it requires to be in both the office of mayor and also the office of municipal manager's office. And the policy also required to outline roles and responsibility of the mayor and the municipal office on gender focal person and the gender forums. And then number two, the roles and the roles of executive mayor. To politically champion gender mainstreaming program in line with gender policy framework for local government and other related gender policies, to ensure that gender programs are being coordinated and implemented and oversee the promotion and advancement of the right and disadvantage of disadvantaged focus groups, to provide oversight and respond to advocacy campaign by civil society organizations. And then the role of municipal manager to prioritize gender mainstreaming programs and integrate them into the IDP, to coordinate mainstream gender policy strategies and structure, to monitor and evaluate programs implemented by department and directors on gender gender mainstreaming and programs, networks and liaise with other gender forums and through gender focal person, and then engage planning. Our district municipality ensure that gender mainstreaming programs are rotationally coordinated in planning session, including IDP. The gender empowerment program are budgeted for. The gender is incorporated in municipal integrated system. Our gender focal person do always advocate the activities of executive mayor and MM matters pertaining to mainstreaming. And the last thing is the implementation of women programs. Here it's a table indicating the program, the year program of what need to be done. The program indicates it started on July up to March 2019 to March 2020. It is indicating the activities that have been done and that need to be done in our municipalities. I think, I don't know whether I need to outline the program, the implemented program.
Please, Honorable Councillor.
I need to outline the program. Okay. In July 2019, it's a workshop on, the workshop was on disaster management. Okay. Activity is a workshop on disaster management. And then location, this workshop was done on Disaster Management Center. It targeted 100 people. And then objective of the workshop was to empower women. Oh, there's a phone that is disturbing me. Oh, the activity was to empower women. And then the second thing was on August 2019. And then it was District Women Empowerment Summit. And then the location, it was on Thulamela Municipality. And then location, it was Thulamela Municipality. It targeted 200 people. And then the objective was to economically empower women. And then again on August 2019, Female Farmer Excellent Award. And then it was at Makado Municipality. And then it targeted 500 women. And then the objective was to capacitate women on agriculture sector. And then on 25 November to 10 December 2019, awareness campaign on the 16 days of activism, and then local council. This was done on local council. And then it targeted 1,200 women, and then to end gender-based violence on women and children. And then on 18 March 2020, International Women's Day, and then it was at Collins Chabani, and then it targeted 300 women, and then the objective was to raise the awareness of International Women's Day. And then on the 5th March 2020, the activity was working for water and adopt a river program. It was at Makado municipality. It targeted 800 women. And then the objective was to do awareness and empower women on environment. I thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Chowki. I will hand over now to the Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Honorable Member Sylvia Lucas.
Thank you, Honorable Gillian. We will give Honorable Audrey Maleka to handle the interactive discussion where members from the participants or the delegates will be allowed to ask questions and also engage with the content of all the presentations. And after that, we will then get responses. But we will give over to Honorable Audrey Maleka to chair this specific session. Maleka, over to you.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Greetings to all. Now I'm going to allow people who want to raise their questions and comment. And if you are raising a hand, you must please just indicate which organization, who you are, and who you are representing. And you must switch on your video that we can see you. Thank you.
And use the raise hand function on the, let them use the participants and the raise your hand function on the system.
There is one there. I don't know how are we going to know them. There is no name on your gadget. Is IJN9U, and is the first one, and the second one is Fancy Malapela. The third one is Temia. The fourth one is Honorable Mabato Olive. The first one, can you please indicate who you are? And you are the first one. We can start now. The second one is Fancy Malapela. The third one is Temai. The fourth one is Mabato. Thank you. Over to you. The one whose the gadget is not named there, but the hands is up. Oh, let's go to Fancy Malapela, because I don't know that one, the gadget is not named properly. And go to Mabato, then to Talukanyo, then Bongane Shongano, and Temai. Please, let's start, guys. We are running short of time. Over.
Then continue. Is it me?
It's Fancy. After Fancy, it's you, Honorable Mabato. Fancy, are you still there?
Hello. Hello, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, okay, thank you. I'm Fancy Malapela. I'm coming from an organization called Far North Network on Family Violence based in Vhembe District, Thoyando, Chulamela Municipality. Thank you for inviting us. I've been invited as a representative for civil society organizations within the district. The first comment that I will want to make is to applaud the organizing team in ensuring that we do go back to the victims charter and sort of like review it. I'm not going to get into detail because of time, but I will just make the comments that I want to make is that I'm very much concerned about most of the departments that have made their presentations. Indeed, I have a program. I'm not going to go speaker per speaker, but I will say for the first one, I will start with the CGE one that was made by Mr. Mbulelo Bota. The counting of the stakeholders that they are working with. I must say that I'm very sad that in all the stakeholders that he mentioned, he never mentioned the importance of civil society organizations, their role that they play with his office in inviting or responding to their needs. And that also says, it raises a concern that it becomes a fact that every time when people hear a person coming from civil society organization, they say we complain too much. And indeed, we cannot stop complaining because NGOs run out of limited funding, and at times we operate with non-budget. But we somehow like make sure that our communities are represented and they get information that they require with all the stakeholders that they've made presentation. And if we hear them in some platforms, they acknowledge it, but they never acknowledge us as civil society organization. It raises a concern. And then also the other one that I want to make out of this is the number of participants that are here, the stakeholders that I'm not seeing in here, and I think they somehow like they make impact in our community. And I'm concerned that if they are not here, that is why we are encountering problems with them. The Department of Justice and NPA. For them not to be here, this is why we have cases of gender-based violence, and you find the community mobilizing itself to go and toy to say no bail or give life sentence. Because if they are here, they will get to understand the importance of gender-based violence and how the justice systems fails most of the time the victims. And then the subs here not being represented, not unless maybe they are the ones that are here, their names are not written, you'll pardon me. But I think out of in noting, because I was browsing through the participants, if I see them not making any presentation, I become worried because they are the major stakeholder in the fight on gender-based violence. And then with the municipalities, their presentation, I will talk with mine that whatever that I heard, I acknowledge, but I think we can do more. This is where the municipality, we need to also say gender issues cut across. They have got no political affiliation. We need to be educating our people. And another thing, because we are talking women, it's women here. And then we've heard from the presentation of the stats that it says women, they are the most in percentage. We need to be teaching women that it's their vote that needs to also teach them to get what is due to them. I think I will stop here for other participants to get a chance to comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mabato.
Thank you, Chairperson of the session. Chairperson, I don't understand the presentations that we received from this province. As a political party, the Economic Freedom, a presentation which speaks to of women in this era, a chairperson of the session, should be a focal point and top of the agenda. We all know that women are being killed on a daily basis, but government is turning a blind eye on that. The safety of our women is not prioritized. Women are raped on a daily basis. When women approaches police stations, they get rejected because none of the police officers do have information on how to deal with gender-based violence.
Exactly.
Women are constantly living in poverty. Women are unemployed. Women live in shacks. Their kids get raped on a daily basis because there is absolutely no safety there. When we get to provinces, we don't hear about those things. Statistics that actually tells us how women are living. We are in Limpopo today. We're expecting to hear such information, but it's not coming out. As women and as lawmakers, from the level of the council to the level of a province, it looks like we are covering up such information, and it shouldn't be us as women covering up this information. It should be us women across party lines speaking up on issues of women. Women are subjected to grants. A chairperson of the session, women are unemployed. After 26 years of democracy, is this what women of Limpopo actually said? They are entrusting you with their votes for grants only and handouts. No, chairperson, this has to come to an end. Above all, women are not given information on what actually affects them, especially rural women. You find women being sterilized without their knowledge. You find women being advised to terminate pregnancy without actually proper knowledge. This is what women are subjected to. When are women issues going to become a priority of the government of some person be the top of the agenda? Now, when we come to a province, why can't we be given information which relates to issues that are affecting women? We cannot be told that women were taken to a workshop of water. We cannot be told that 5 women were taken to a certain workshop, which actually never benefited them. Chairperson, I'm appealing to you, Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces. Next time we come to this province, can we at least get something tangible to speak to make sure that when we leave after a session, there are resolutions that are taken after this session, not only just a talk show. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Next,
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am Raymond Tanganyo from Victors Network Foundation in Limpopo Province. First of all, I would like to echo the message that was actually delivered by Honorable Mabato. One thing for sure, as a member of the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, representing also LGBTI people, it is very important that when we have these discussions, we also need to take into cognizance the lesbian ladies, or rather women, the trans ladies also. We need to also take them into account. There is no need for us to actually having a talk show when we are just being told of statistics that did not actually affect people. Men are out there, they're very misogynistic. We need to actually cancel that stereotype. We need to actually then cancel all these patriarchal ways that men have actually then been doing. And in order for us to be part of the movement, whereby we see our women as our equals, because today we need to actually realize that equality means that our women have the same opportunities as men. Our women get the same opportunities that a male person would be actually getting.
Secondly, to that, I need to also emphasize the need for the justice system to take women seriously. There is no need for us to actually then be debating about these issues when women are suffering and receiving, the end of the stick, whereby they're killed every day, they're actually raped every day. Lesbian ladies are safe, trans women are not safe. We really need ourselves to actually take charge. As women, we're saying we're going to support. However, it is very important that today when we live here, we need to understand that all women, whether of sexual orientation, regardless of gender identity, we all have the same opportunities as men. It is very important that today, as we review, we just go back and then we say, this is not about tick a box, because it seems we are ticking a box to say, we took women to a gender conference, but how many are still suffering in our provinces? How many are still suffering, issues of femicide? How many women are still being beaten? It was just Women's Month just a few days back. I'm telling you, the number of GBV cases that have actually emanated during this pandemic that we're in right now, we're actually staggering. And we need to be able to take charge. And we say it ends with us. And we also say as men, it shall not be us who are going to actually stigmatize and still abuse our women, because we need them. So there is a need to ensure that all of us are taking a stand and saying, women need comfort, maybe even in positions of leadership. Rather not maybe, we need women to actually take charge also in positions of leadership. And we are there as men to say, we are pledging our support, and we're saying to our women, let it be so, Amanda, and then let all these women go out there. Wathinti Bafazi, Wathinti Bokodo. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before you go out, can you tell us who you are and where are you from? Because I did ask that everyone who's going to speak must introduce him or herself.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I am Redani Tarukanyo from Victor's Network, based here in Limpopo. Our base is down in Vhembe district, although we operate in the whole province. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Do you have the participants list in front of you? There is, Tamai was then. I don't know why he's moving back every time. Tamai.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Temai. She keep on moving. I don't know whether it's she or he. Temai? Oh, let's go to...
No, Chair, I'm here. Yeah, Chair, mine is a very short request.
Remember to identify yourselves, please.
I'm working in the office of the Premier in Limpopo. Chair, I've got a small request. We have 3 deaf women, and we have 1 interpreter. And that is a cause for concern for us, because 1 interpreter cannot interpret for the whole 3-hour session. My request, Chair, is that, is it possible that we can have a session dedicated to disabled people? Either we do it regionally per 3 provinces, or we do it for Limpopo, so that we have only disabled people that can participate. That's my request, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, let's continue. I will respond at the end to the specific request as to how we can deal with it, because we don't want to be found discriminating against people with disabilities. So let's discuss it broader and see if we are going to do that one.
I'm sharing the meeting.
Over to you back, Malika.
Okay, Bongani Hlongwane.
Thank you very much, thank you very much, the chair of the session. This is Bongani Hlongwane, the provincial secretary of Limpopo Molar Regeneration Movement. May I take also this opportunity, chair of the session, to thank Parliament for giving us this opportunity to interact with the lawmakers, particularly to brief you on our experiences and of course our progresses and challenges as far as the issues of women are concerned. Chair of the session, I have listened to all of you, particularly the presenters, but please allow me to indicate to you that as Limpopo Moral Regeneration Movement, this year on the 13th February, we have launched the so-called MRM Limpopo Women Chapter. In this chapter, you have Mahoshi in the chapter, you have got the labor movement in the chapter, you have got also the political organization there, and then actually the disabled people that are participating. I will just run straight for the sake of time and indicate to you that thus far, on the 14th of August, we have convened MRM panel discussion on virtual platform, wherein we were so much happy. The economic freedom fighters in Limpopo, under the leadership of Honorable Mphahlele, came and presented to our women as around women empowerment in the province and their challenges. We also have the ANC from the legislature. Honorable Makoma Makrupecha was there. Kosato is also there. People from civil society and Mahoshi. I just want to say to you that the problems that I think I pick up from this kind of discussion is that particularly here in the province, we are doing very well with our municipalities. The problem may be that some of us, we have received this invitation today before the session commences. So that is why you would find people when they are reporting, they are necessarily at hasty when they are reporting. But there is more work that is being done here. The problem may be around coordination of the program. The time may not allow me, but let me just say, around policy issues, there is no problem. But on the practical work on the ground, we are not seeing the work. The people work in silos. That is the problem. Around the commitment issue, yes, it's safe to say mayoral offices, there is a dedicated councillor dealing with special program. But in terms of the commitment, these women issues are treated as a by the way issues. That's where we have a problem. It is one thing to have an event around women or around the disaster issues, and then after the event, women issues are left loose. Nobody attends to it. I will also agree that women are being raped, women are unemployed, their qualifications are not enough when they do not commit in terms of bedroom issues. That's where we find problem. Around budget, honorable members, let me also say, can we have a session, quarterly session dedicated for the province, wherein every local institution must report quarterly? If you say you have committed 200,000 for women, can we say practical, what have you done? Also on around issues of partnership. What are the partnerships that you want as a municipality or as a province? What is their role in that activities? Also, women forums. We always launch women forums in local institutions, but they are not supported in terms of budget. That is why you would find officials or councillors coming here to report the work of the officials that they have never been there on the ground. That is a point of concern. But as Limpopo moral regeneration, we are saying we have now stood up. Women chapter is there, and we are taking the experiences from the 14th of August this month, the last month. We have seen women participating. What the women says is that they want budget, they want commitment from our political leaders. Thank you very much. For the interest of time, honorable members, I'll rest here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to request the honorable members that can we be the last to speak and that we can give the civil organizations to speak is because it's their platform as the public. Please, we'll allow you after them. Next is Nobesutu Javu. Please, people don't get, you are raising hand, you are lower your hand. Please, if you are raising, you raise your hand. Just raise your hand. We'll take you out when you are speaking. Nobesutu Javu.
Thank you.
Your network. Are you still there? I see that your network is poor.
Okay. Organization, Ekuphumuleni Restoration in Sishiho, Capricorn District. My network, okay?
Yeah, can you repeat? We didn't hear what you were saying first.
Chair, can I? Okay. I am saying I am Nobesutu Javu from an organization, Direst, Ekuphumuleni Restoration Home, which is a shelter for women GBV victims and survivors in Sishiho, Polokwane, Capricorn District. I would like to echo the previous speakers on the relevancy of the presentations that were presented today. For example, the burning issue on the table in our country is GBV and femicide, which the president recently declared it as a second pandemic. But I don't see any presentation that is specific to that topic. And recently in April, the president approved this document, that is the National Strategic Plan on GBV and femicide. I don't hear us talking about, as Limpopo, what is our plan in terms of implementing this document. And again, I would actually like to see the frontliners presenting in this type of meetings, the people that are at the cold face of issues that women are dealing with. So I thought today I would see as women talking about how are we going to implement the NSP on gender-based violence and femicide, because that is the burning issue. Number two, the resources. I thought maybe we'll have someone even from the Premier's office that will indicate if there are resources provincially that are allocated to address the burning issue, which is the GBV and femicide. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Muhanyet. After her is Morgan Maharete, then Mutlatlejo. Over to you, Miss Mo. It's written there, Miss Mo Hanyete. Are you there? Okay, let's go to Morgan Maharita.
Chairperson, thanks for this opportunity. I'm Morgan Makhareza, Executive Director for Center for Farm Workers and Rural Development. Chairperson, it is a very important day to deal with the review of Women's Charter. I have a concern that our expectation, especially with regard to today's activity session, that our presenters actually did not meet our expectation. We were actually expecting, what we heard from them is a general statement in terms of their mandate, in terms of the program and so on. But what we were actually expecting is the impact report. We are talking of 26 years of Women's Charter. Let me reduce myself to Article 10 of the Women's Charter, where we talk of the violence against the woman. Today you ask yourself, how many women victims of gender-based violence who goes to or attend the court proceedings without the legal representation? You ask yourself, how many women are stuck into a abusive marriage relationship where they cannot afford the cost of proceedings with regard to divorce? How many women? We have structures, we have policies in place, but what we need is action. The Article 10 spoke of the training of within the justice system. I was expecting to hear from the justice system, the police, the NPA, the judiciary, telling us how far did they go in training or capacitating their human resource. The justice system is actually failing the women of this country. You know, the statistics South Africa indicated that only 0.8 gender-based cases are reported. I agree, because women who are affected, they don't have confidence. They lost trust on the justice system. And the justice system is actually continuing to fail women. So what we need now was the report to say how many of the impact that we have made in terms of advancing the Women's Charter. Then we'll be able to say, what do we need to review on the Charter? We cannot review based on the general statement. We know what is the mandate of gender, Commission for Gender Equality. One other aspect that I want to raise, which I think is very critical. We've been speaking about the gender-based violence And the president said is the second pandemic, which is true. But you went all over the country at the strategic point. You will never see any informative material on gender-based violence. Are we prioritizing gender-based violence? We are not. The role, the institution, like Section 9 institution, the public protector. You ask yourself, you go to a rural community and ask a community to say, do you know what is the role of the public protector? No, they don't know. It's a public protector within a public protector's office. It's not a public protector within community. They are set up there to advance those issues that affect the women. I'm talking of public as an example. Family advocate. We have all those. We have policies. We have structures. All we need. Are we actually advancing? Are we actually taking out our mandate to the people? No. So what we need is that kind of an intervention. Informative material, knowledge and information is very important. Let us not talk like the Commission for Gender Equality, talking of the legal clinic. How many women goes to court proceedings without representation? You know, many women they are going to be frustrated as they are frustrated. So what we need, it's just unfortunate that the justice system, I did not see on the list the police, the NPA, and the judiciary, which they play a major role in terms of failing the women of this country. Madam Chair, I think we need to talk to this issue, but we need to say maybe collaboration, government collaborating with the non-governmental organization will actually, advance some of the issues that we need to address on gender. I've reduced myself to gender-based violence, but there are a number of issues on women, especially as we are working on farms. Issue of discrimination, equality in wages, discrimination in terms of position on farms. That happens even across the sectors. We need to talk to those issues because those are critical in terms of making women of this country proud of themselves as women. Chairperson, I think.
Chairperson Alfred, from this side, I don't have any sign of raising a hand on my laptop, Chairperson. So if I may be given an opportunity from the Department of Health.
Alfred, can I just ask you to wait because you are not the only person. Some of one or two people indicated on the chat group that they want to also participate in the discussion, and we are writing their names down. Okay. So Honorable Malika.
Yes,
Alfred, I will give the names. I will give the other names to Honorable Malika. Honorable Malika, are you able to continue?
Yes. Now is Musatleho.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Malika. Thank you, everyone. I'm Motlatleho Musiamo Leboho from National Peace Accord Trust. We work nationally, but in the province of Limpopo, we are in the Waterberg district. Thank you for the presentation, but for me, it is sad. I don't hear like the voice of gender-based violence from the 3 districts. I hear, yes, there is poverty, what they do for women, but here the issue, as it is even alluded that it is the second pandemic, it is quite silent. I felt I would hear from various departments, from Department of Social Development, Police, Justice, and again from also NGOs, because we are NGO. There are NGOs in this district of all the to talk about the programs that they are doing, maybe filtering to the district, the municipality understanding that, because we have got to address. We cannot defeat this problem when we don't have the programs for men, again, as perpetrators, for gender-based violence, and again on issues on how we are healing the women. Yes, they would like to contribute to economy, but again, they are continually being sidelined. So the thing is that they need to heal, and then so that they can be able to participate. They need to heal so that they can mother the children. We need to, I don't hear anything about this empowerment of the women. In dealing with gender-based violence, we know that there are a lot of levels of intervention. We have our children. We have a boy child, we have got a girl child. There must be prevention measures. What I don't hear, what is it that is being done to prevent these bullies? Because you start as a bully, as a boy, then or a girl, then you end up being an adult who is bully, who thinks that the thing stops with you, who is disrespectful of other people. So what are the prevention? Where is the education also getting in there? And also the intervention. I have a colleague here from the shelter in Seshego. What what we are doing as NGOs filtered into what the government is doing? Because we need each other. The government is not going to win this alone. They need us as partners to win this sketch. That is just my contribution. Thank you.
Honorable Maleka, if you can allow me, if you can just allow me. I want to remind the delegates and the participants, we are from Parliament and not from government. And Parliament, together with communities and non-governmental organizations, have got an oversight responsibility. So the session that we arrange, in the first instance, we are bringing Stats SA, we are bringing the FFC, and we are bringing the Commission on Gender Equality to also, as oversight bodies, report on the issues regarding the province that we approach, particularly the specific districts. So when we come here, also want to hear from NGOs and communities. Are they satisfied that in terms of the Women's Charter and the 12 articles, what is the kind of progress that government has made? So that when we go back, we develop a report and we say to the government of Limpopo and the national government, yes, indeed, we've got very good policies and we've got very good things, but this is the experience of our people. So it is not possible for us to come here with the Justice Department to come with it, because we are going back to them with our report of oversight to say that this is how people are experiencing our services. So except possibly for, who was the other person that speak? I think Morgan, that said there is a lack of information. There is particularly on Article 10 and so on. And here and there, someone that spoke is giving us something to go back and have a report that will assist us. Even the districts, when we brought them, I think Capricorn gave me at least something that I could see that there is some programs that the municipality is implementing to make sure that there is a response to the issue of women. I don't want us to be speaking about, it's fine if we speak about government, but we cannot expect them to be here with parliament because we are two different arms of state. So can you please assist us so that even at least the program that we will take back will show government not enough is being done for our women. Not enough is being done in terms of the issues that are coming out of the Women's Charter. Then we are on the right track. And there are representatives of the provincial government and the provincial legislature and the district municipalities on this platform, together with the other bodies that I mentioned. So assist us. Otherwise, people will say we are just a talk shops, but we are not responding to the issues that are plaguing our women. And that is why I want a community-based and non-governmental organizations. Tell us what is it that you are satisfied with in terms of the charter that women brought forth, but what can we change in the charter and in the engagement with government? We are not here to hold holy cows, and we don't say you should criticize government, but give us something that we can take back. Government won't be here. We are going to be the ones that will take back the message as the oversight body. So I really want us to continue addressing issues, but don't have expectations that the Minister of Justice will be here. We will engage him on your behalf, and we will give your government in your province the report, and we will tell them address these issues. That is what we are going to do. So I think we can now continue. Honorable Maleka, I give back to you because there is still the two people, and then there is the member of the DE that also want to say something. But I wanted members because unfortunately we gave the member of the EFF because she said she's leaving. By now she's gone, I'm sure. But I wanted members still, since Parliament is hosting this event, members to speak after the delegates that is relevant have spoken. We will still respond to some of the issues.
Chairperson, before they come in, can they register my name, Alfred?
After Ms. Mukhanyet, I don't know if it's Mukhanyet say or what, it will be Tebo Khomalaiki if he's still there, and Aluwani, Mushapi, and then Alfred. That will be the three people that will speak, and then Ramuba Maklodi is coming up now.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Maleka, are you there? Is this Mukhanyet, if he's not there, can we then have Tebo Khomalaiki?
Thank you, person. Am I audible enough? Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, Deborah.
Hello? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, my.
Deborah.
If we cannot hear you, Deborah, we will then take your inputs from the chat room, and then we will then speak to some of the things others we will take as part of our program. Can Aluwani then speak? Aluwani Mushapi. Or Mushopi or Mushapi.
Hello?
We see you, there you speak, my dear.
Hello? Hello? Yes, you can speak. Can you hear me? Yes. Oh, I thought I have raised my questions, but I will repeat them on the chat. What I can say from all the presentation from different municipalities, from my side, I'm Alwani Mshapi. You have already mentioned that from Women of His Power movement, It's a movement of women. Yeah, we are sexist in nature. We don't allow men to join our movement. But our focus is to ensure that women are equipped either with knowledge, with skills, or with any resources to develop themselves holistically, looking at all aspects of their life. So to summarize what I've said on the chart, on the presentation in all the municipality, to me, I was very much disappointed in terms of the presentation, more especially when we are looking at the fact that we are looking at the review of the charter, of which we are talking about almost 25, 26 years. And there are still municipalities which are still presenting on what they are still going to do or how the policy should look like. To me, it's not fair at this point in time. At least they should be telling us what they've done so far from 1994 up to so far, just a summary of what they've done, the achievement which they have achieved, and also they must project on what they are going to do in the coming years. And then the other thing is on the interventions which the municipalities are making. So my question to the municipalities, all of them, when they come up with all those interventions, do they even look at the challenges on the ground, or is just a matter of just having a program for the sake of having a program? Are they trying to address something? And if they're trying to address something, do they even assess the impact they are making out of those programs? So lastly, is the issue, the municipalities which has presented in terms of executive positions in the municipalities, are they able to quantify in relation to men? How many percentage of women are we talking about in those positions? And then the same goes with the councils, the 50% which they're talking about, the leadership roles which are being played by the women in the council. Can they also quantify those things so that we are able to see if really we are making an impact in terms of including women in leadership position or decision-making roles? Yeah, basically, those are my questions. My battery is even low. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Deputy Chair, can you assist me? Who's the next one?
Yeah, the next one is Alfred. Alfred requested to speak so many times. It's in now.
Yes. Thank you very much, Chair. My name is Alfred Makwana. I'm speaking from Provincial Office, Department of Health, given a responsibility to coordinate provincial clinical forensic medical services, which I actually work with gender-based violence cases. Also speak to sexual reproductive health for women. As I'm looking on the summary review of the Women's Charter, on page 24, the last paragraph, which is article number 11, where it speaks about health, I see the Commissioner for Gender Equality indicates that the number of barriers exist in terms of women's access to healthcare. It goes further, says long queues and disempowerment patients. It further notes that women need access to antenatal care during pregnancy. They need skilled care during childbirth and further care and support in the week after childbirth. In some instances, women have access to health facilities but are not attended to by a skilled health professional, that is doctor, midwife, or trained nurse. In addition, there are still barriers to accessing contraceptives which are disproportionate impact on vulnerable and marginalized populations, such as adolescents and persons living with disabilities. The person to respond on this concerns from a Commission for Gender Equality. As I'm saying, I'm responsible for services of gender-based violence and femicide. and also for reproductive sexual health for women. What I can state is that the department, in terms of all what has been said here, department is doing its best. As I can report to the meeting today, is that the Department of Health designated almost 37 hospital islands. We've got 7 Tuduzela care centers in the province, almost all the regions to have those Tuduzela care centers. We do have professionals, doctors who are responsible for providing services to these victims of gender-based violence. And we do also have nurses who are specifically trained to qualify as clinical forensic nurse practitioners who are specifically dealing with the cases of gender-based violence. For sexual health, reproductive health, we are saying all the services are provided in all departmental health facilities, that be at the clinic level, at the community health center services. Those services are there. At the hospital level, all those services are there. They have been provided. But what we, in terms of the queue, long queues in all those facilities, we do have what you call quality assurance in each and every hospital, whereby clients or customers or patients can lay their complaints in that office if they don't get satisfaction in terms of the service provision in that hospital. But what I can register to the meeting committee chair is that we having a challenge that we still need more health professionals to train as clinical forensic medical practitioners or forensic nurse practitioners, because gender-based violence it's more of a specialty. Those practitioners, they service a victim from the first entry until the victim's going to appear to court, because that practitioner who has attended to that victim have to fill relevant legal documents like JD8, and they will be subpoenaed sometimes to come and appear in court. So in Limpopo, the challenge we're having is that we don't have more of them. We've got only 57 nurse practitioners who has undergone that service. And in all those designated hospital infrastructure, because they are being consulted at the casualty level. Now, at the casualty level, that's a unit or an area where we deal with emergency cases. Sometimes when the victim arrives there, you find that the doctor who should attend to that victim is very busy with emergency cases, and you find that the victim have to wait there for a longer period, and at the end, that victim end up being exposed to secondary victimization. I think we have a challenge, or we're making this special request that if the department can able to have specific rooms where there will be privacy for these victims, and then so that when they arrive in a hospital or in a health facility, they will be treated and they be not exposed for secondary victimization. In terms of sexual health, reproductive health, we do have all means of, all types of contraceptives. They are available in all health facilities. And all pregnant women, they do have free services for antenatal, which we normally call it ANC, which is antenatal care, and also PNC, which is postnatal care, and also child healthcare services. They have been provided in the Department of Health. So I think the challenge is that what is important is to make the society or the community at large to be aware of these services in terms of getting media platforms where we'll give health education, where we'll give information to the community so that they should know what type of services are provided and where to get them, and when they have challenges, where they must go. Thank you very much.
Ramoba Mahlopi.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. Am I audible?
You are indeed. You can continue.
Thank you very much. Apology for leaving us due to network problem. I'm Matoli Ramova from Moral Regeneration Movement Women Charter here at the province Limpopo. I'm happy to be part of this charter. So as the Women Regeneration Movement, we are committed to respect human dignity and equality. I just want to tackle this issue of gender-based violence. As we are just from the Women Month, we just want to make an input that women at the rural areas, they have nowhere to go if they experience this violence. And first of all, the police stations are far, and when you call to assist somebody, it will take a lot of time so that they can assist or rescue the one who's being abused. So we just want to make an input that as women, to end or to assist women not to be the victims, or to assist women not to continue being abused and stay in a abused relationship. We require women to assist, and the department to assist women so that they can be empowered. Empowered in the sense that if women have something to do, if women earn something to their families, if they came home to put food on the table for the children, this thing of abuse will be little bit lowered. We required women to be employed even in higher position, because we just see that women sometimes have been undermined, sometimes women has been taken not seriously. So we want women to be empowered economically. So women have small business that are undergoing. If the government assists these women, women small markets, if they've been advised to run their businesses, if they've been funded, because even during this COVID, they've lost a lot. Some are just selling tomatoes, some are just selling bananas, and they were not doing the job during to this COVID regulations. So we want women to be empowered, their businesses to be funded. Lastly, I want us to tackle the issue of land. If women have been granted this land, become the owners of land, they work on the land and they earn on the land, the issue of gender-based violence will be reduced. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Honorable Manika, there is still a person called Sam that also requested to speak. There was Sam that raised his hand. Sam.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
We do hear you.
Can you hear me?
We do hear you. You can speak.
Yeah, thanks, Chairperson, and thanks for the other presenters. My name is Sam Nkuna. I'm representing men's sector in Limpopo, Capricorn district. I just want to touch the issue of gender-based violence. The issue of gender-based violence, on my suggestion, I think that it will be important for the Department of Education to take it as part of the curriculum or as a subject, because we have realized that most of these things of gender-based violence, these young boys, they grow up with that mentality. We want to change the mindset, and all men must change their mindset so that the issue of gender-based violence can go down. Because now every day we are talking about the issue of gender-based violence, and men are perpetrators. And the other thing is that it is important for all men to take a stand and say, not in my name. And those who are the victims, let's break the silence. Enough is enough. To the funders, those who are funding them, the organization, they must also look and check on those men's organization and make sure that those organizations get funds so that the men's organization can also do workshops and health talks with men. Maybe we can see where we are going. Thanks, Chairperson.
Hi,
Sandra,
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
who is speaking?
Then it's Mufunwaini from Vhembe district under Munandi Men's Forum. Can you hear me?
I see Munandinyi, but can I allow Sandra Mapoto, Sello Mapoto, and then after that it will be yourself.
Represent the men's activity. The Marnaing Sevens and
Am I audible?
You are audible and you may speak, my dear.
Good evening, all protocol observed. Just to make this very quick, I see the time is running out. I just want to say that I missed all the presentations from 3 o'clock till now. As a young gang rape survivor and activist, I had very high expectations of the topics of the progress from the past 2 decades of the Women's Charter to be thoroughly presented. And when I say topics, I mean topics such as the current statistics of gender-based violence in the different districts that we're presenting today. And announcements of progress. Where's the progress in the various offices that are dealing with gender-based violence? What are the programs that have been implemented, if any, and specifically their progress that have been brought forward and have brought change from the different municipalities, the government programs, NGOs, everyone who has done anything that is here today concerning gender-based violence specifically. Can we please get clarity on the practical work that was implemented from the Women's Charter in accordance to the gender-based violence? And for me, I really expected also to get proposals of what are the resolutions that are stated in the challenges faced by the Women's Charter in its summary review that was sent to us earlier today. Further information of rescue by Parliament for severe cases, especially wherein the very SAPS endangers the lives of the victims. Because clearly, if a victim can't find aid and help and rescue from the SAPS, where else should they go? What and how is the Women's Charter that we are reviewing today helping the particular victim of gender-based violence? And perhaps it's a bit personal because that example is myself. As the founder of War RNA, an organization that deals specifically with war against rape and abuse, and as a gang rape survivor myself, I'm having to live in a different province. I had to relocate from Limpopo and stay away in fear of my own rapists who have successfully bought my docket. which has my Limpopo home address and my personal contact details. Furthermore, they have sent me the docket to prove their allegiance with the SAPS and are now well on the loose and possibly continuing with more harm on women and children out there. From 3 o'clock today, presentation after presentation, we have listened in, but I am disappointed. As an organization, as a woman living in South Africa, and as somebody who has tried everything possible in collaboration with many other organizations, Nabasutu Jabu, for instance, Mr. Ike Kema, for instance, year in, year out, working on the issue of gender-based violence, we come into this Zoom meeting and there is not much that is said about the pandemic, the very second pandemic that the president has stated in South Africa, which is gender-based violence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maputo. And then there was this person of Munandini. I will allow you to speak, and I see you then.
Thank you, Chair. I'm talking on behalf of Munandini, who is the real man. When we talk about the real man, we talk about the person who's responsible for ever, not the person who abused. Then our concern is that most of the cases of women abuse, when they came to our offices, we find that there is somebody who is pushing the gender-based violence, because they said there is no smoke without fire. I can tell you that most of women, they are the one who's causing problems to the families of other people. E.g., if you can see a woman working with a man, another woman will go to the husband of that woman and said, do you know that your wife is in love with so and so, which is very wrong. But I think if we can educate also the women so that they can be the real women, and the men also, we need to educate men to be the protector, the provider, then maybe we can achieve what we want to achieve. But the problem is only that the departments are not willing to support men's forum with the budget. We were supposed to go around to the villages and educate both women and men concerning gender-based violence. But it's only that they are supporting only women's organization. What about men's organization? Because you cannot left the men behind. Otherwise, the problem of gender-based violence, we won't won. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we then have Awed Zani? Awed Zani, you will be the last person to speak.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Awed Zani Nemaukwe from the South African Council of Churches in Limpopo. As the South African Council of Churches, we have challenged ourselves that we will not pay lip service to issues of gender-based violence and the abuse of our girl children and our women. We have got an ongoing program that we have taken from the World Council of Churches that is called Thursdays in Black, against violence directed to women and children. This is something that we don't only do in the month of August, but it's a program that is ongoing. But our challenge, Chairperson, that we see just 2 days ago, we were invited to a family where a mentally retarded child was kidnapped and raped. But the challenge that we face is that when you call the law enforcement agencies, they either take longer to come or they do not come. And in this case, that happened in our neighborhood. They only came when they were called by the community, one of the community members telling them that they were going to burn the victim's house. That's when the police came. So our challenge is that if police are only interested in protecting property and are not interested in protecting the lives of people, people will not be very happy to follow what the law says. And we ask you from your portfolio where you're serving that you can raise this matter, that women and children be protected. But the question again of women, chairperson, who are participating in the oppression and abuse of other women, because in this case that I've just cited now, when the people arrived, the mother of the offender protected the child and said he was not in. So we're saying women must also stand up and help us fight this challenge. And in saying that we will not pay lip service, chairperson, we are also aware that there are many in our churches who are abused by those who call themselves pastors. And we are not quiet about it. We want to have a peer review mechanism where we will be able to hold each other accountable, because we've got many organizations or many churches that do not belong to any organization. And that is why you have many of our people who are being abused without any recourse. So when we speak about this, we are also looking at ourselves to say we will rise as churches to say no to this abuse of God's people. We also acknowledge and declare that patriarchy and gender-based violence are a sin, and we must always confront them as such, because these people who are scarred emotionally and physically continue to require our protection. And we will do everything in our power, chairperson, to participate in what government is doing in stopping this kind of things that we see in our communities. Thank you very much for affording us the time.
Thank you very much. I hope some of the panelists is still here so that they can just say something. But before that, we will allow our member from the Democratic Alliance, Honorable Christians, if you want to, if at this stage you want to say something. But we will then ask some of our panelists if you still want to, if they are still on the, particularly the CGE and also States SA, if they are still on the platform, and also if the representatives from the different municipalities. In fact, I want you to submit your reports to us, your presentations from the municipalities. But if there is anything that you want to commit to, don't respond to what people said individually. Please just, if there is anything that you want to commit to in terms of the issues that was raised. I will firstly, Delman, I will firstly allow you, and then if there is any of the panelists, they will also then make their inputs, and then we will summarize the discussion.
Sorry, Chair, I tried to raise my hand and send some messages to register my name, but I'm not sure if you were able to see that.
I really didn't see your name. I tried to accommodate the chat people that indicated on the chat and also on participants, but we will not actually deprive you from the opportunity to say something.
Okay, no. Yeah, I won't take long. I'll take maybe a minute just to comment. I had time to read through the summary, and I wanted to make comments on the following points. I was really applauded by the statistics. If you look at what Stats South Africa reported, they mentioned that 52.5% of households, they are headed by female, and none in that household is working. And that is really, it's really touching. And I think as women charter or women movement, you need to identify the causes why the high number of women heading the households and none in the households is working. And because if you don't do that, what is going to happen is we are raising ladies who are following the same trend. So I'm not sure if maybe next time when we come back, you will report 90% or 60% or 70%. And also, if you look at the stats, almost 30% of our kids stay with both parents. So which means around 70% of our kids are staying with single parents or no parent. And I think as a women's charter, you need to sit down and look at the causes of that. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when I read your the summary, if you check Article 8 and Article 10, when you are talking about family life and participation, there is nowhere in the review where you are mentioning the promotion of gender relations. That is where male and female stay in the same house and they have a happy family. And in order to do that, you need strategies to deal with those kind of issues and also to deal with violence against women. We can't solve, or we won't be able to solve violence against women by empowering women alone, by putting money in women's pockets. It won't solve the problem. I think what we can do as South Africans is to create a non-sexist a country where women and men, they have the same opportunities. And also deal with perpetrators who are men. We need to sit down with men and understand the reasoning behind all those things. I am from Chitamboni Men Empowerment Network. Last month, we had 21 days of men talk, where we said, men, raise up your voice, tell us your frustrations. And I'm telling you, men are frustrated. And maybe just for your point, men are not afraid of going to jail and they are not afraid of death. They are not afraid of dying. That is why you find that they will kill a woman, not to ignore that. We need to go back and look at the causes. What are the drivers? If we can deal with the drivers, I'm telling you, we will be able to deal with gender-based violence. But unfortunately, as women's organization, the most important thing is from where I'm standing, the most important thing or the main aim is to empower women, put money in their pockets. And I'm telling you, it ends up frustrating men. And when men are frustrated, they fight with frustration. And one of and how they fight is they will either abuse or they will drown in alcohol abuse and all those other. We are losing men and we are losing women. What I'm trying to say here is we need to focus on the drivers. What are the drivers of this gender-based violence? And the reason why I'm saying this is because if you look at gender, it's intimate partner gender-based violence. And if we don't deal with that, I don't see us winning this fight. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Honorable Malika, are you there? Honorable Malika, are you there? I would want the Honorable Christians, you can say, and then I want the Gender Commission, if they are still there, they can say something. And Honorable Christians, it's over to you now.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I will be very quick. What came out very strongly for me is really the previous speaker commented on this as well, and that was the causes. What are the causes? So, and what are we doing to capacitate women? That for me was lacking in the discussions. What dedicated programs are in place to help alleviate the suffering of women? We are focusing more on the symptoms and the consequences and not on the causes. And we need to capacitate women to alleviate the causes. We need to have women to take charge in communities. I'm a very strong believer of that. I think women should take more charge, women should be more visible. And we need to capacitate them in order to do that. We need more awareness programs, and more than that, we need communities together with women to stand up and protect each other. We need men to stand up with women to protect each other. But we can only do that if programs are directed correctly to communities. We need to stop having mundane events in communities. Instead, we need to teach our women, we need to capacitate them, we need them to have a voice in our community so that they are present in communities. And more than that, and lastly, we need to bring more community-based programs and NGOs into our communities. We need to assist them financially so that they can help our women and assist them in rolling out awareness programs in this regard. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Christians.
Thank you. Yes, that's the point.
Can the Gender Commissioner, if he's still on the platform, is there anything that you want to comment on?
Chairperson, Commissioner Botha has left, but I represent the Commission in the Limpopo. Can I please be allowed just to make one comment in the interest of time?
You may.
Oh, thank you so much. The Commission for Gender Equality is a catalyst institution. And from the discussions, I can hear that communities are really struggling in terms of access to SAPs and struggling with their cases that are not moving, gender-based violence cases. So as the Commission, we're available to assist in really looking into those cases and see what are the challenges on why the cases are not moving. We are available in the province. Our number is 015-291-3070. 015-291-3070.
No one will remember that number. You rather send it into communities, municipalities, and make sure that it is in clinics and all over, so that the people can find that number. We will not remember it from how fast you spoke now.
Or raise it on the chat.
Yes. Sepa?
Hello, Chairperson.
Yes, so you are. I just didn't want you to do what people on television is doing, saying this is our number. Put the number up in communities so that communities can get that number. Is there anything else that you want to say?
No, that's all, Chairperson, just to share what the mandate of the Commission is. Thank you.
Stats SA. Stats SA. Anyone from Stats SA that can just, is there anything that you want to comment on? Neil, you are there. Thank you, Major.
Yes, sir. Good evening, madam, and good evening once again. I think just one comment. A number of comments were made on the lack of specific data, specifically on gender-based violence. I must concur from Stats SA side, there hasn't been gathered and analyzed and produced. And from our side, one of the reasons is that it's an extremely difficult set of data to actually gather in a community. Just think that you go into a household and you ask women about gender-based violence when their partners might be sitting across the room. For that, research council is currently being discussed and underway. And as I understand it, we are in a steering group of that particular meeting of that group. That will also be a well-funded survey, which would look at all the qualitative and quantitative aspects. So it is being dealt with. I just beg your patience in this regard. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Yes, and we can attest to the fact that the Medical Research Council have got very good stats with regards, particularly at the moment, femicide. So they are going into the gender-based violence issue, and it will be available very soon. So, like I said, this is a process, and we will be busy for some time. So we will be able to share that information. That dealt with the presentations. Is there anyone from the FFC that want to possibly comment? If people have left, I can understand because we are over our time.
Chairperson,
Yes.
Chairperson, I
You
don't
want
have.
to say something,
Yeah,
Honorable
yeah.
Member? Yes, you may.
Yes.
You may.
Chairperson, thanks very much for the opportunity once more. And Chairperson, there is one who asked us about the impact of the Women's Charter after so many years that we had it in relation to Article number 10. In terms of Article number 10, as the district, yes, we do have this. Remember, we do not work alone, we work together with social development, and we do have these gender mainstreaming programs, and we also have these victim empowerment centers, but more still need to be erected. We can suggest that to the Parliament so that they can assist us with resources if they are there. We also, together with social development, provide psychosocial support to victims of gender-based violence. There is such a program. There is this gender-based violence preventative program focusing on behavioral change at all levels of our society. And we also have this program of alcohol abuse, making sure that we address issues related to alcohol and gender relation and drug abuse, sorry. And also, we have this gender disaggregated information that we can share with Parliament. It is just that we didn't expect that to be needed here. And programs that are dedicated, or let me say resources, yes, we have programs that are dedicated to deal with gender-based violence in our district. We have got not only special focus, all the departments are expected to mainstream issues of gender, more especially gender-based violence in their programs. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kare. You can submit that information before the 18th of September to our office. When we have our engagement with your province, we will have a report, and we will also make sure that the report reach all the organizations that have participated in this. So your information should be part of our report, so you can send it to us. Thank you, Honorable Karen. So I think all of us realize that it is already late. We have gone far. I just want to make us a little bit of a summary of the discussion. And one thing that many of us agreed on is that the districts or the municipalities, as well as the government departments, should make sure that they take more visible action. That the subs and other government agencies that are supposed to assist with particularly the issue of gender-based violence that is now seen as a pandemic. But it's only one article in the Women's Charter that is speaking about violence. But all of us agree that we need less violent societies, and we also need social cohesion in our communities. But we also need healthy families so that we can build healthy communities. Some of the issues that is particularly important is the access to information, because we can have all the wonderful policies and programs. If people are not having access to that programs and they don't access to the information, it is a problem. Issue of health, access to services, issues of education, particularly the issue that is coming up for the third time on the curriculum of bringing gender-based violence into our curriculum, so that we can build, or we can groom children that will be able to know that that they must live in a society where there is gender equity or equality, and there is a non-racist and a non-sexist society, and where there is equal opportunities for everyone. And also with regards to the NSP, the implementation thereof, I can say that it is one of the new issues that have come up, and we are going to make sure that we intensify our oversight over the implementation of the NSP. The issue of patriarchy and gender-based violence, I actually expected that in Limpopo, the issue of patriarchy will come out much stronger. Because just this morning, we had a discussion on the culture of matriarchy, where the Makatsis had much more power in the past, of which it had changed, particularly in provinces like Limpopo. The one of capacity building and the one of economic development, of economic activity that will actually empower women to be able to walk out of abusive relationships. There is some of the issues that came up, also the issue of the LGBTIQA and also the issue of non-sexism I spoke about. And the issue of the land was also an issue that came to the fore. But I think also there was a very strong emphasis on government services that do not reach people necessarily. I am just summarizing the discussion. Other issues like presentations will be in the report that we will develop, and we'll make sure that stakeholders and participants will get access to that specific report. With all of that said and done, let me express our appreciation to everyone that was involved in the organization of this specific session, and also to say that we are not yet finalized in Limpopo. We will be doing the other two districts next, and then we will also have a high-level discussion with your provincial leadership in government as well as in the districts, and we will make sure that everyone understands. Eventually, we will make sure that provinces also know how nationally we are going to make sure that we compile a new women's charter based on the review inputs that we got from everyone that participated. Also for the team from Parliament, we want to express our appreciation to the team of the legislature. We want to express our appreciation to Premier's office. I must say, according to the feedback I got, Limpopo, Premier's office, legislature, and all other stakeholders was very accessible, and they played a very positive role in making sure that this session is being compiled. So to the States SA, to the CGE, to FFC, our partners in this processes, we want to express our appreciation, and we will see all of you very soon. With that said, also to the other members that drove the program, and to the Deputy Speaker for his support, we want to express our appreciation. To all of you, stay safe, sanitize, and make sure that we don't spread the pandemic of COVID-19, because COVID-19 doesn't spread itself, it's being spread by people. So stay safe. Thank you very much. The meeting stands.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. I learned a lot.
All the members of NCOP, I love you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.